What is up? What is up? Everybody. Let me do a quick mic check. Scratch, 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 mic check. That's my new way of checking a mic. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mark Z Drumcast. It's been an incredible weekend. Good to be back with you today. I have great news to share with you on today's show. Some really good stuff that is going to help you progress in your drumming. That's going to help you achieve things in your drumming that you may not have thought possible. I have some things to share with you that is going to help you in your creative process. So stay tuned. Today is Monday, and thank goodness the weather has broken. The weather has broken. Cooler days ahead, although, listen, it's still summer. We're still in the 70s and 80s. We are no longer in the 90s. We are no longer at 80% humidity. So not only did the temperature come down a bit, the humidity broke. It was an absolutely beautiful day yesterday. It's an absolutely beautiful day today. Things are quieter here in the studio, not as many fans running, not as many ACs running. So that's a beautiful thing here in the Northeast. I hope it's the same all over the world. Today, I want to talk a little bit about the weekend in review. So I had some musicians over the house for the weekend, and we spent some time in my studio writing music. A couple of songs that we had been previously working on, a few songs never before worked on. And the result was 6 tracks, a few of which could be very close to studio ready to go in and record. But here's the thing, right? These are musicians from Brooklyn, Manhattan, Philly, people that are coming from distance. And so what I did was I offered my home for the weekend so that Saturday and Sunday we could just concentrate on writing. No, not a lot of travel. Travel here on Saturday, leave here Sunday. And besides the hours and hours of writing we did and practicing and getting tight, we were able to spend a lot of time together, which in a band situation is a very, very important thing. That bonding process, that thing that people talk about. Wow, we really bonded as a group. Wow, we really came together as a group. That's a real thing if you allow yourself to do that. If you put yourselves in a position to spend time together away from making music. Fortunately, this weekend we were able to do both. We were able to make music and break bread together, have meals together, have some drinks together, go and see an event, hang out and talk, sit outside on my deck, on my spacious deck, and just, be in different situations together. Learn about each other, which was very, very interesting, to say the least. Very, very fun, and then very exciting. And I think it resulted in us really tightening up as a group, not only as a band, but as a group, and really kind of becoming a little more tight-knit. Now, this is a process, right? It's not something that, we're best of friends now because we spent the weekend together. But it certainly has brought us closer together, has made us more tight-knit, and, more experiences like that, like when I go out to Manhattan and we rehearse together. When we just get together and hang out and do things as a group, not even necessarily as a band, but as a group of friends, it helps to kind of solidify that relationship, which leads to better music, which leads to better creation, because you're connected on a deeper level. So the music creation is better. It goes smoother. It's more intense. It's more fun, certainly. And I wonder if that connection on a personal level really leads to a deeper musical connection. So that is kind of my review of the weekend writing session that I just had. Really, really fun. Great people that I'm working with, and I'm blessed to be working with these people. And I really think that you're going to like what you hear. So I would like to announce the release of Because You're Beautiful by Madame St. Beatrice. I will link the video or the song. There's not a video yet. I will link the song in the description below this video. But yeah, it's a new track just released. I'm playing drums. It's a beautiful song. I love it. And yeah, so it's available. I'm going to put it in the description. It is going to be all over social media, Madame St. Beatrice, as well as my own social media, Mark Z Drums, on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, and so on and so forth. So now, again, welcome to the Mark Z Drumcast. This is my video podcast on YouTube, and I would encourage you to please like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that when I go live for the Mark Z Drumcast, you will be the first to know. I'm also getting ready to release a new drum cover video. I had already spoiled it. No surprises here on an earlier Drumcast, but I will be taking on Tom Sawyer by Rush. This is a request that came in from a dear friend of mine, and it is now its turn. I've been getting a lot of requests, so I've been trying to get through them. You can see my progress so far on my YouTube channel, Mark Z Drums on YouTube. You can see my progress through my request list on my channel. In the interest of full disclosure, not all the covers there are requests. Some of them are my own ideas, my own thoughts. I have so many students that come in and bring me songs that sometimes I think, wow, that would be a fun song to cover. And then I go ahead and I do that. So not all of them are requests. The majority of them are. If you would like to get your request in, hop on my Patreon, Mark Z Drums on Patreon, and you can go ahead and submit a request. You will be put on the list. And if your request, once your request is completed, it will be available exclusively for you on Patreon before anywhere else. You'll see it first. So watch for the new Tom Sawyer drum cover. I'm going to be kind of breaking it down as I play it. I have some new ideas for the song. And so, you know, in my view, a drum cover is an opportunity for you to express yourself. It's like anything else. If I'm writing drums for a new song for one of my projects, it's an opportunity for me to express myself. If I am playing a drum cover, then I would like to put in ideas that I want to hear, things that I think will sound good. Because if you wanted to hear the song the way it was originally played on drums, you would just listen to the song, right? Let's face it. A drum cover is a chance for you to take the song that you love and add your own flavor to it, add your own spice to it, right? you have to excuse me. I'm not trying to be rude to my wonderful viewers, but during the writing session this past weekend, I used a few different kinds of drum sets, and so I just have to kind of get back get back to what worked for me during the writing session. Hang on a second. Okay, so I'm just messing around with some different sounds. I'll have to find the one that works best for Tom Sawyer. This Roland TD50K V2 has a great set of drum kits on it that you can choose from. All different kinds of sounds, all different weird stuff too. Some cool like house music stuff, some really cool disco type of sounds, electronic stuff. All really, really cool sounds. So I have to find the right one, but I won't do it now. I'll have to experiment with that before I work on that drum cover in a little bit. So, something I've been thinking about. And really, it came to me from a source. You know, I listen to a lot of people. I listen to interviews. I watch people. I'm always just kind of absorbing. I'm fascinated by people's stories. And one of the things I watched recently was a documentary called Count Me In on Netflix. If you have Netflix, check it out. Over the next couple of Drumcasts, I think I want to talk about some of the drumming content that I consume and have consumed. Mostly like movies, documentaries, things like that. And I'll give you some recommendations. But this Count Me In is a pretty cool doc. And it's on Netflix. It's pretty recent. Within the last couple of years, I think it came out. And it just basically sits down with some very well-known drummers. And it covers different genres, right? So you might see your particular genre or somebody that you enjoy that you know. But it does cover a few different genres. And the cool thing about it is that they talk about their influences, about the drummers that influenced them. And so you have contemporary drummers and some older players, people that are still doing it at a high level. And they are talking about their influences, the people that influenced them when they were coming up. And we go back to a John Bonham. We go back to a Keith Moon. And a lot of different people, Buddy Rich and, you know, some of the big band drummers. And a lot of the people that have paved the way for drummers today. So it was very, very interesting and very, very cool. It was a very enjoyable watch because the people that they were interviewing and talking to were older people, very famous, that have been doing it a while, intermediate people that are kind of in the meat of their careers, younger people just kind of on the come up. So it was very, very cool to get different perspectives. You also get to hear about these people and how they started, where they started. That's always fascinating to me. I love hearing those stories. They had a little montage. They had a little cute montage of like kids opening up like their first drum set, right? Because when you're a little kid, you get a drum set, it's kind of in a box, right? It's not the way drum sets come today, in much bigger boxes. Um, but it's really super cool how excited these young people are getting their first drum sets, or footage of some of these people that they were able to supply for the doc. You know, as they're talking about their influences, they're showing footage of them as younger people playing drums and getting started. Really, really cool stuff. Like, I love all of that stuff. There's something else on Netflix that I'm gonna maybe put down in the notes, in the show notes. But again, I want to maybe devote a little more time in another Drumcast to some recommendations, some things that I think would be really cool for you guys to see. So count me in. Really cool, really fun, um, and again, stories, right? How these people came to be where they are, who they are, and their experiences coming up in the world of drumming. And for me, um, I'm going to keep sharing with you ideas that I have for future Drumcasts. Probably in the next couple of days within this week, I'm going to share my origin story. And not only my origin story as a drummer, but my origin story, or the origin story, of Mark Z Drums as a teaching business, as the empire that it has become, right? So in the next few Drumcasts, I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory about who I am, about where I came from, and the origins of Mark Z Drums. So that should be really fun. So I said in the beginning of the that I have some really good news, and I do. The news is that we control our own destiny. As it applies to drums, that's what I'd like to talk a little bit about today. We can control when we get where we get to. I had a new student recently come in, an adult, and we were talking, and I said, "Hey, what brings you in? Have you ever played drums before?" And he said, "Nope." He had never done anything drum related. He does not. He just decided maybe it was time he learned to play the drums. And I said, "That's great. Let's go." But it made me think. It made me really think about the question that he asked me, which was, well, and I get this from time to time, well, how long do you think it will take me to, not be great, but, kind of be pretty good and be able to play a song? And again, I do get this question on occasion, not often, but it's always the adults, because that's how we think as adults. We're like, okay, I want to do something. How long is it going to take me? What do I have to put into this? Like, give me some sort of a time frame or a timeline. I need to know. And I'm like that too, right? And as an adult, we get to that stage where we're like, well, what are the results going to be? Like, I want to know ahead of time. When you're young, you're not even thinking about those things. You're just like, when is my next drum lesson? You're not thinking about when I'm going to get good. How long is this going to take me to do whatever I want to do? When can I play this song? It's such a different mindset. So the question was, how long do you think it will take me? And I said, first of all, it all depends on the student. Everybody learns differently. Everybody learns at a different pace. I was going to say clip. Everybody learns at a different pace. The other thing is the amount of time that you put into this directly relates to when you'll be able to reach a certain milestone or a certain goal in your drumming. If you are a person that practices every day for a half an hour a day, you will progress rather quickly, because when you come into your next lesson, if you have practiced what we went over in the previous lesson, we can then expand on that, move further, or even explore a new idea or a new concept. But if you come into your lessons and you don't touch your books or your drumsticks or your pad until your next lesson, then it might take a little bit longer, because then we may have to go over again what we went over in the last lesson. And so we're not going to progress as quickly. So really the bottom line, the answer is it's all up to you. You get into it, what you put out of it. Wait a minute, you get out of it what you put into it. That's it. So that was the answer, and that got me to thinking. We really do have way more control over our lives than we believe. One of the things is, what do we tell ourselves? I do run into this occasionally when I'm teaching my students. A student that is completely convinced that they are terrible and will never get any better. And that's such a terrible place to be. I feel terrible for these students, and I want to do everything in my power to tell them, no, that's not true at all. You're already making a ton of progress. If you put in more time and effort, you will get more, you will make more, you will progress more. But it's really not possible to never get any better. That's a really tough one. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's very highly unlikely. If you're coming to lessons, you're playing on a regular basis, and you're being consistent. Now, this is a word I'm going to come back to in a few minutes. There really is no way that you can't get better or that you won't get better. And unfortunately, the power of the mind is pretty powerful. I mean, the mind is pretty powerful. And as we and because I have no way of knowing, and I got my audio back. Like, what is going on where it just suddenly goes out like that? I did nothing, and I have no way of knowing when this happened. So, unfortunately, maybe I'm going to have to backtrack. So I was just basically talking to a new student. He was asking me how long it's going to take him to get to a certain point where he can play songs. And my answer was, that's up to you. I have students that progress at different rates. So it really depends on the person, and it depends on you, because what you put into it is what you get out of it. So what I was talking to him about was basically, what can you do in between your lessons to improve and progress faster? And it's just basically picking up your drumsticks, putting your drumsticks out in a spot where you can see them every day. So when you walk past them, you think to yourself, oh, let me grab those drumsticks and let me do a little bit of practicing. Let me hit the pad for a little while. Let me do warm-ups. Let me practice my single strokes, whatever. Let me go on the drum set. Let me play some drums. So this is what I'm going to talk about today, which is how we are in control of our own destiny. And I'll just limit it to drumming, in the drumming world, our drumming careers. What we do musically is up to us. It really is a matter of how much time and effort we put into our playing, into our growth as drummers. Right before I noticed the mic was out, I was talking about students that I have that have convinced themselves, or are convinced, they're never going to get any better, and that they stink right now. And it kills me. It breaks my heart a little bit, because as a young person coming up playing an instrument, that kills me. I hate hearing that because, you know, the students I hear this from, they don't stink at all. They have some really great ability, some talent. And, you know, it's really in the beliefs. It's how they believe. It's how they feel about it that's coloring this whole thing. And it's very, very hard to change somebody's beliefs. You don't know where they came from. You don't know how reinforced these beliefs are and what situations in their lives led them to feel this way and what reinforces this in them in their lives. You just don't know. So all I can do is I can encourage them as best I can, and I can say, hey, you know what? You've already made a ton of progress since we've been working together. Think back about the time when you couldn't do this, right? A, B, or C. And now you can do that. So you've already made progress. You know, if you're telling yourself you're not going to get any better, you're not making progress, look at this, because you have made progress. And then we have to talk about what are we doing to progress? What are we doing to maintain our own growth? And the thing is, it's up to us, right? So when we're talking about being a drummer, we're talking about playing drums, we're talking about trying to get better as a drummer, as a musician. There's so many things that we can do. But no matter what we do, it needs to be consistent. It needs to be consistent. We need to get into the habit of practicing as many days as we can. We may not be able to practice every day. And that's what I tell my students. I say, listen, I'm not looking for 2 hours a day of practice every single day from you, but I am looking for an effort. I'm looking for you to find whatever time you can, however many days of the week you can, to put time into your drumming, into your growth. Because practice is not for me. It's not for your teacher. It's for you. Your progress, of course, makes me happy. But whether or not you practice does not affect me either way. So do it for yourself. But anyway, the whole thing of consistency, that's a very, very important part of anything we want to do in life, anything we want to build into a habit, and anything we want to do for ourselves that we may find difficult to do for ourselves. Sometimes taking care of ourselves is difficult. Sometimes putting in work towards a goal is difficult, right? So we have to find a way that we can do it a little bit every day and make it into a habit. I encourage my students 15 minutes a day, as many days of the week as you can. I also encourage them with a practice journal where we can write down things to practice for the week in between lessons, and then I have a checkbox for each day of the week. So if you do that task on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you check those 3 days. If you do the next task on Tuesday and Thursday, you check those days. If you do all the tasks, you know, on Friday and Saturday, you Saturdays, right? So it gives you a visual representation of how much you're practicing or not practicing. It also gives you something to refer to. Oh, I have to write down my practice for the day. Again, another habit to form of writing down in your practice journal. What did I do today? Okay. This way we can review at the next lesson. Okay, great. You got 3 good days of rehearsal and 3 good days of practice, and you worked on this, this, and that. Very good. Also, I think it's important to show students what to practice. What do we need to work on? What are the things that we need to do during a practice session that are going to help us to grow in the areas that we want to grow? So little things like that, writing it down, having a practice journal, keeping your drumsticks out within view, and your materials, your practice pad, your sticks, your books, whatever, keep it out in an area where you walk past every day. So it's constantly kind of in your view, and then you can make that connection and go, oh, you know what? I didn't practice today. I have a few minutes. Let me grab my sticks. Let me get some practice time in. So consistency is the key. I think, in my opinion, I make more progress if I'm consistent every day, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sticks in hand, working on different things, then if I was to practice 2 hours on a Saturday, because that's really the only time I had, time to practice was a Saturday. So I'm going to put 2 whole hours in on a Saturday. I think that consistency of every day is more beneficial than a big practice session one day a week. So keep that in mind when we want to build habits. We want to stay consistent, and I think that you will notice steady progress the more consistent you're able to be with your practice. The other thing too is practicing the day of your lesson. Make sure that when you have your lesson, you get home, you go over the stuff that you did in your lesson. This way it reinforces it in your mind, it keeps it fresh, and you don't have an opportunity to forget what you talked about. You don't have an opportunity to forget how this is supposed to go, how that's supposed to sound, whatever. Practice that day. Don't really consider your lesson a practice because it's a lesson, it's not a practice. Your practice is to go over what you learned in your lesson. So once you're done with your lesson, you get home, you pull out your books, you go over what you just had in your lesson, and you reinforce it in your mind. And then the next day when you go to practice, it'll be fresher for you to move forward through the week until your next lesson. Remember, lessons are guidelines. Lessons are there to lay things out for you to work on between lessons. We have to put in the work in between our lessons. We learn stuff here, we work on it here, we learn new stuff, or at least extensions of what we learned in last week. We go a little further on it, we expand it from week to week. And that's how we progress. If we don't do anything between lessons, we kind of are stuck in the same place. We'll make some progress probably, but we'll feel a little more stuck. And one of the ways to progress is to not let yourself feel stuck. Not let yourself feel like, wow, I'm not going anywhere, this isn't helping. Especially if it's not helping because you're not working in between lessons. So keep it going, keep that train moving, keep progressing by practicing between your lessons, and keep moving forward. This way it's always fun, it's always challenging, it's always exciting, and we'll reach those goals sooner than later. And reaching those goals and having those victories is what keeps us going, right? Is what keeps us motivated, it keeps us excited, and it keeps us progressing and growing. And that's why I like to do that in my lessons. I like to keep it fresh, keep it interesting, keep it challenging, and move it along, right? So in between your lessons as a student, make sure you put in that work so you and your teacher, your instructor can keep that train rolling. So that's all I have to say today. Consistency is the key. We control our destiny. We control how long it takes us to reach our goals by how much we put into them, how much time and effort, how important we make these things. And in that, we will see growth. So thanks for tuning in to another The Mark Z Drumcast right here on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on my YouTube channel. I have lots of great videos, instructional, drum covers, live performances, all kinds of fun stuff drumming related on my YouTube channel. I have a Patreon, which I'm working on releasing soon, but I'm kind of letting you guys know first. If you want to go check it out, go ahead. I have one inexpensive tier to get us started. And in that, you will be able to submit requests for drum covers. And then later on, I think I'm going to do song breakdowns where I'll play the cover, I'll play the song, and then I'll break it down for you so that I can help you to figure out exactly what you need to do to play your favorite songs. Also, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and new website coming soon, MarkZDrums.com, and an online drumming course is in the works. We are working on that currently, but I wanted to come in after this great weekend of writing and bonding with one of my projects to say hello and to thank you all again for your support. It's really been great. I've really had a lot of people coming in and watching the Drumcast, either live or after the fact. But thank you again so much for your support. If you like what I'm doing, give this video a like. Check out my other videos. And I think that's it. Oh, Because You're Beautiful by Madame St. Beatrice is out now. I will leave the link in the description below. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.